You ever had your whole world flipped upside down by a woman in a white suit and a smile so sharp it could slice through plywood? Yeah, that happened to me. Standing there on the same patch of land my grandfather cleared with his bare hands back in 1947, while Corn Ashford, the so-called HOA president, declared this property is now under HOA jurisdiction. She had lawyers flanking her, shiny shoes and all, and she came armed with forged maps and a quietly approved boundary revision from 2022, one I'd never even heard about. But what she didn't have was the right. Not the real kind. I'm Wesley Brandt, 66 years old, preservation architect by trade, retired but not tired. I've spent my whole life fighting to protect places that matter from people who see only dollar signs. And somehow, the battle finally found me, right on my own front porch. Where are you watching from tonight? Go on, drop in the comments, because trust me, the lake, it remembers everything. That's what my granddad always told me when I was just a kid, 8 years old, feet dangling off the end of the dock, clutching a fishing rod and hanging on every word. The water holds memory better than concrete or steel, Wesley. Even better than any document in some dusty courthouse. He was right. This lake was here before the surveyors showed up, and it'll be here long after the last lawyer shuts his briefcase and drives away. Morning comes slow out here. Honey light spreads across the water, turns the whole world gold, just like it did the day my grandfather hammered the foundation posts into the shoreline after he came back from the war. He needed peace, needed silence. He cut those trees himself, fit every log together by hand, built a cabin that was supposed to outlast him. And it did. The deed's in my safe, signed and dated. A clean line of ownership, 78 years without a break. We built it, we paid taxes on it, year after year. No one handed us anything. We earned every inch. So, picture me out on the dock that morning, coffee cooling in my hand, staring at a notice taped to the piling, crisp, official-looking, shouting in bold print. Notice of violation. Immediate remediation required. Bureaucratic font, the kind meant to make you feel small. I peeled it off, tape fighting back and leaving a scar on the wood. That's how it starts, you know. With a piece of paper, a mark that doesn't quite come off. Boots crunching on gravel my grandfather hauled him back in '63, I walked up toward the cabin, weathered but sturdy like a hand-me-down story. Brandt, 1947. Still carved above the door in cedar that's never rotted, only darkened with age. The minute I stepped inside, the smell hit me. Old wood, sap, and a whisper of my granddad's pipe tobacco, still clinging to the beams after all these years. If I closed my eyes, I could hear his hammer. 3 strikes to set a nail, never wasted motion in his life. He'd always say, wasted motion is wasted living. Every board in this place was set with intention. And in the corner, the old safe, just where he put it. I spun the dial, 3 right, 2 left, 1 right, and when the door clicked open, there it was. Oilcloth-wrapped documents, the original deed, survey maps, tax records, and a letter from Grandpa himself, dated 1985, his handwriting still sharp even after arthritis set in. If someone tries to take this land, he'd written, remember our rights don't come from paperwork. They come from sweat and history and being here first. 30 years ago, he saw this coming. Told me, plain as day, don't let them rewrite what we built. I put the letter back and headed outside, down the slope toward the property line, and that's when I saw them. Orange survey stakes, lined up like little invaders marching across land that had never been questioned. 6 of them slicing through what was mine. I yanked one up. No permit number, no ID, just an orange plastic cap, a length of steel. I hadn't even finished frowning at it when I heard the engine, a black SUV, glossy and oversized, creeping up the gravel road. It stopped just shy of my property line, like the driver knew exactly where the boundary was, according to their new map, anyway. No one got out. Windows so dark you couldn't see in, but I felt those eyes. Watching. Taking notes. Building a case. I didn't wave. Just stood there, holding the stake, making sure they saw I'd noticed. The SUV idled, then slipped away as smooth as it came. After that, I started walking the perimeter, looking for more. That's when I found the camera. Small, black, bolted to a tree branch 15 feet up, angled right at my cabin. No blinking light, just a cold lens staring. I snapped 3 pictures, date-stamped, geotagged. Old habits die hard. When you've spent your life documenting history, you know memory alone won't save you when someone's out to rewrite it. That evening, I sat on the porch, watching the sunset turn the lake copper, then indigo. Grandpa used to say the lake had moods, sometimes glassy, sometimes wild, but always the same water underneath. Tonight, it was that quiet, electric stillness before a storm. I knew something was building. You don't hit 66 without learning to read the signs. The stakes, the camera, the SUV, they weren't accidents. Someone was laying groundwork, hoping I wouldn't notice until it was too late. But I'd noticed, and I was ready. They came back 3 days later. 4 of them, in the same black SUV, pulling up at 10 sharp, confidence dripping off them like cheap cologne. I was on the porch, sanding down a railing. 40 years of preservation work teaches you that maintenance is a kind of prayer. You don't wait for things to break. You keep them whole. I kept sanding as they assembled at the steps. The woman in the white suit led the charge. Hair pulled back, smile frozen tight. 2 lawyers behind her, plus a surveyor with a clipboard. She extended her hand. Perfect nails, not a callus in sight. I didn't shake it. After a second, she dropped it, smile getting brittle. "This is private property," I told her, "and you're on it without permission." She nodded, like she was listening to a child. "We're here to make you a very generous offer, Mr. Brandt." Her lawyer held out a contract, $850,000 cash for my land. More than fair, they said. I didn't look at it. I kept my eyes on Karen. Yeah, at this point, you can guess what kind of Karen she was. "I'm not selling," I said. She pretended to understand, but her voice went colder. "Your cabin doesn't align with the community aesthetic. It's impacting property values, creating tension. We're trying to find a solution that benefits everyone." "You mean you want everything to look the same?" I asked, arms folded. She dodged that. "Progress, Mr. Brandt. As of 2022, this land is under HOA jurisdiction. You're subject to our guidelines, and the notice lists multiple violations. If you won't cooperate, we'll enforce compliance." That was the threat, sweet on the surface, iron underneath. I straightened up, calm as you please. "This cabin's been here 78 years. Your HOA's been around for 7. Tell me again who doesn't belong." Her jaw ticked. "You're manufacturing reasons to take what you want, wrapping theft in bureaucracy and hoping I'm too old or too tired to fight." Silence, cold and heavy. She handed me an envelope, formal documentation, 8 pages of infractions from non-compliant roof shingles to setback violations based on their new map. I read it all. Then I called Fletcher Donovan, a good lawyer I'd known since he was a kid. "Fletcher, I need every land survey and HOA filing since they incorporated, especially 2022. Someone's trying to take my land, and they're using paperwork to do it." A certified letter came next. Notice of compliance hearing. Show up in 5 days or face $45,000 in fines. Death by 1,000 cuts, hoping I'd give in just to make it stop. But I started digging, pulled every record I had, tax bills, surveys, old photos, my grandfather on the porch in 52, my dad fixing shingles in 78, me and my wife painting trim in 03. Every photo had a date. Every record showed we'd been here, paying, maintaining, all along. But when I laid the original survey next to the county's new digital map, lines didn't match. My land, according to them, had shrunk like 20 years of shoreline had just evaporated. The oak tree, the granite outcropping, the inlet, they were all still there, but the official map showed something else. That's when I realized someone hadn't just moved my boundary. They'd erased it on paper. That night, I sat on the porch with my grandfather's old shotgun on my lap. Not loaded, just visible, a reminder that presence can be its own kind of defense. The phone rang at 7 a.m. County Planning Office. "Did you receive a boundary notification in 2022? "No, ma'am. Never saw it." Pause, keys clacking. "Mr. Brandt, the signature on file is C. Ashford. My blood went cold, not from fear, but from recognition. She'd signed for my mail, intercepted my right to challenge the change. Elegant, illegal, and now caught. I called Fletcher. That's mail fraud, federal offense. This isn't just civil anymore, Wesley. But you know how it goes. People who forge one document rarely stop at one. Sure enough, another letter arrived, an eviction notice. 14 days to vacate, or county authorities would remove me by force. I documented everything, photographed, cataloged, built my evidence. They were escalating, testing to see if I'd break. But I've spent 40 years saving condemned buildings. What makes them think I'd walk away now? The community center was packed on hearing night. HOA members in press khakis, acting like I was already gone. Karen ran the show, projected photos of my cabin, made it look decrepit and dangerous. She had the crowd. Until I stood up. May I respond? I asked. This hearing wasn't properly noticed. I never received the mail, and it was signed by you, Karen. Her jaw clenched. I showed the room the original survey and their new map, laid them side by side. These don't match because someone changed them, without my consent, without a hearing. That's fraud. The room went silent. You want to talk about community standards? Let's talk about legal standards, public notice, hearings, not signing for someone else's mail. I laid out the county's own confirmation. See, Ashford's signature, not mine. Federal mail fraud investigation is open. County boundary review, too. Your jurisdiction here is a lie, and I'm challenging every violation. The crowd erupted, questions flying. I walked out, deputy at my side. When I got home, 2 bright yellow property in violation signs were staked in my yard. A message from the HOA, meant to scare me. I photographed them, let them stay. Let everyone see what kind of organization hides behind legal threats and vandalism. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Lillian Porter, former HOA secretary, showed up at dawn, hands shaking. She'd been forced by Karen to falsify boundary maps, backdate filings, and replace originals in the digital records. 8 properties, all small, all held by longtime families, all systematically targeted. She handed me a USB drive, 47 emails, original and doctored maps, instructions. I can't undo what I did to those other families, she said, crying. But maybe I can help you. My lawyer arrived, recorded her statement, documented everything. This isn't just fraud. It's a roadmap of criminal conspiracy, he said. Karen struck back with a lawsuit, demanding $500,000 in damages and immediate forfeiture. But now we had proof. Ownership, chain of title, forensic reports, Lillian's files, 8 other victims, and county investigators opening a RICO case. Suddenly, my fight became everyone's fight. Other families share their stories. Forced sales, harassment, fines, intimidation. This was a pattern, a machine, not a mistake. The day of the hearing, the courthouse was packed. News crews, neighbors, victims. Karen sat with her lawyers, stone-faced. The judge made it clear, facts, not feelings. The HOA lawyer showed their video, me on the porch with a shotgun, no sound, just an image meant to scare. My lawyer walked through the evidence, deed, surveys, forensic proof, Lillian's testimony, other owner stories. When it was over, the judge looked right at Karen. This is systematic fraud. All claims dismissed, all fines voided, and I'm referring this to the prosecutor for criminal charges. Karen was arrested on the spot, cameras flashing. I walked out into the sunset, people shaking my hand. The lake was quiet, the cabin unchanged, the old voices echoing. The lake remembers Wesley. Now it remembers this, too. Not the fight, not the courthouse, but the truth that some things can't be taken or erased. Some things stand because they're built right and defended by people who won't be scared off. Now let me throw it to you. What would you have done in my shoes? Is standing your ground worth it? Or should I have walked away? Drop your thoughts, your stories, your own battles in the comments below. And if you know someone who loves a wild twist and a real fight for justice, share this story. I want to hear from you, because this isn't just my story. It could be anyone's.